Well, there's a great migration happening nationwide. Residents suddenly migrating from one city to another, or one state to another state. This movement of demographics is happening right now across the United States. We're seeing it on both coasts, East Coast and West Coast, departures from the inner city. The suburban neighborhoods are booming because people want to get out of the urban environments, whether that's a safety issue, whether that's an economic issue, or the fact that they can't keep running their businesses with the uncertainty of possible shutdowns, not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow. The fact is, people are moving out of the coastline states into the inland states and out of the inner cities to the suburbs. The question is why? Is it to escape the high taxes, the crime, the cost of living, the political environment? You take your pick. Could be all the above. Joining the conversation is Kathy Wong from the West Coast, who will be witnessing this migration right on the front lines and is going to give us some insight. Kathy, why the sudden migration?
Well, Andrew, it's all of the above. We're seeing in this unprecedented 2020 year with COVID-19 that a lot of people are now telecommuting from home, homeschooling. So because of that, they're looking to move from urban areas to the suburban and rural areas to get more space inside their home, as well as to have more space outside where they can feel safe, letting their kids play or being able to go for walks and stay healthy and just sane. So that's one of the major trends. The other major trend is from Northern California to Southern California. I've had clients move because of the housing affordability and also just having a little bit slower pace of life. And the final big trend that we're seeing is movement out of California to out of state, usually away from the coast, although not always, but definitely number one, they're looking for a lower cost of housing. Number two, they're looking for ideally moving to a state that doesn't have state income tax, with California being the highest income tax state pretty much in all of the country. There's a handful, there's actually 7 to 9 states that have no state income tax, and they're seeing the majority of our California migration.
What are some of those states? I mean, I'm hearing the same thing on the East Coast, whether it's California going from Northern California to Southern California, or whether it's New York going to Florida. It's the same concept. So what are some alternatives for people who live in these coastlines?
Well, some of the major states, number one is Texas, from Californians moving because it has no state income tax. Texas, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, Washington State, they're all moving to those areas. That's where most of the Californians are moving because of all of them but Arizona are no income tax states. One of the other reasons that people are moving from California is just, that maybe they're more conservative and they don't kind of line up with the ideology of the California government right now. So they're moving to more conservative states too.
I'm glad you brought that up. That was my next question. With the current political environment, do you see that trend continuing? It's hard to tell. We don't know the outcome of the election quite yet. But in the event that there is a candidate that wins that people aren't in favor of, is that really a driver to actually move out of state, or is it just something to be frustrated with?
Well, I think the frustration has been building for decades. And so I think it's always the last straw that breaks the camel's back. I think we're at that precipice right now. And I do think that people are moving ahead of the election, but after the election, depending, it can be state or federal, people are really trying to make a decision as to where they fit in and where they see the state going in particular to make that decision whether they want to move because of ideology.
Now, Robert, you've lived across the country, you've lived in different areas, you were raised on the West Coast. What are your thoughts? What do you see with all this migration?
Well, we've had a huge migration of people coming into California over the years, and people will say if you've been here 7 years, you will not leave. And now we're finding a little bit of a difference in that, but California will always be desirable regardless of your politics or otherwise because of the economics and the weather.
significant weather tax. Kathy?
Robert, I agree with you. California, the West Coast has the weather, the coastline, the beaches that really draw people. We're drawing mostly wealthy people to California. We're not drawing the entry level or the middle class. We're getting the wealthy people because they can afford California. But we are seeing conservatives moving out of California for more conservative states at record numbers.
I know my hometown, La Jolla, California, there is a tremendous amount of people that have taken up residence in Texas and other states that don't have that state income tax. And they're spending exactly 6 months and 1 day there so that they qualify as a full-time resident. I want to talk about more of these other states because there is this gravitation even to some of the newer states because of affordability, which we're going to cover later in the segment. Robert, where are you seeing people that do choose to leave California going on the West Coast?
Well, people that are leaving California, and I know some personally, they are targeting Idaho, Oregon, and Arizona. And for example, I just had somebody call me the other day, and they have a job opportunity outside of Tucson where home prices are on average in the $300,000 range versus, say, Southern California at $650,000. So for them, that was a driving factor.
And do these places have sustainable jobs? I mean, it's great to get a good deal on a house, but if you don't have gainful employment, kind of defeats the purpose to move out and save some money.
That's a good point. I mean, if you're a W-2 employee, then certainly you are going to be a little bit more sensitive to that. As a 1099, which we've expanded that group during COVID times. More people are choosing to work from home and can work from home, and a lot of companies have made that adjustment to accommodate that.